Lesson 10.8, trig functions. So let's think back to geometry. The definition of supplementary angles are angles that add up to 180 degrees. Complementary angles are the angles we're going to focus on today. These add up to 90 degrees. In this 3, 4, 5 triangle, we have theta and we have phi. These two angles are complementary because they add up to 90 degrees. Now, as a result, we can come up with a couple of different equations. Phi equals 90 minus theta. In other words, this equals 90 minus this. And the other way around, we can say theta equals 90 minus phi. Okay? You can also look over here. You can see that sine of theta, we know is opposite of our hypotenuse, is 3/5. Cosine of phi is adjacent over hypotenuse, 3/5, which is also 3/5. So as you can see, the sine of theta is exactly equal to the cosine of phi. So from that, we end up with this identity here. Sine of theta equals cosine of 90 degrees minus theta. And cosine of phi equals sine of 90 degrees minus phi. Okay? So the sine of an acute angle is equal to the cosine of its complement, and the cosine of an acute angle is equal to the sine of its complement. So this relationship is true for sine and cosine. They're called cofunctions. Okay? Also true for the inverse of sine and cosine. The inverse of sine is cosecant, and the inverse of cosine is secant. So this is also true for secant and cosecant. These are cofunctions. Right? Sine and cosine are cofunctions. And one more, tangent and cotangent are cofunctions. Now I want you to recognize that 90 degrees minus theta can also be expressed in radians. And if you remember, 90 degrees is pi over 2 radians minus theta. So that's why you can write the same identities in terms of radians. And a nice way to memorize this is using the letters C and O, because sine and cosine are cofunctions, tangent and cotangent are cofunctions, and secant and cosecant are cofunctions. And cofunctions basically are complementary, right? Cofunctions of complementary angles are equal. All right, let's take a look at number 1. If angle A is acute and sine of A equals 3/4, and cosine of 90 degrees minus A equals what? All right, let's draw our unit circle, and well, let's just draw the axes, and we'll draw angle A. So here's our right triangle, and we know that sine of A is 3/4. Since we know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse, in this case it's 3/4, we can say, okay, this is 3 and this is 4, because this is opposite side of A and this is the hypotenuse of the triangle. Based on this, let's answer the question, what is cosine of 90 degrees minus A? Well, 90 degrees minus A is basically referring to the complement of A, because the complement of A is 90 minus A. So what is the cosine of this angle? Well, the cosine, you remember, SOHCAHTOA, is adjacent over hypotenuse. And adjacent side is 3, and the hypotenuse is always, the hypotenuse is 4. So as you can see, the answer is 3/4. Okay, so sine of this acute angle equals the cosine of the other acute angle, as long as they are complementary. And they are complementary because this is a 90-degree triangle. Okay, number 2, sine of 2A equals cosine of 3A. If this is true, then what is measured angle A? Well, we know that because sine and cosine are cofunctions, if they are equal to each other, then that means, well, let's draw a picture. Here's our right triangle. We know if this is 2a and this is 3a, we know that they are complementary because we're saying that sine of 2a equals cosine of 3a, they're a cofunction. So basically, we can write our equation. 2a plus 3a equals 90 degrees. Combine like terms, and a equals 18. Yeah. All right, so here's another one. If sine of x minus 3 equals cosine of 2x plus 6, then what's the value of x? Same deal, just add these up, set it equal to 90, because we know these are complementary. So combining like terms, we end up with 3x plus 3 equals 90. Subtract 3. 3x equals 87, divide both sides by 3, and x equals 29. Very simple. I do number 4, and this one, we need to take 265 degrees and express it, tangent of 265, express it as a function of an acute angle of measure less than 45 degrees. So here's 265. We need to find the reference angle, which is right there. Now the reference angle is just 265 minus 180. That gives me 85 degrees. So tangent of 85 degrees equals what? Now if we want to express this as an angle less than 45, I need to use my cofunction, which is cotangent. And I know that the cotangent of this angle must be complementary to 85, so it must be 5 degrees. So that's the answer to this. Finally, sage and scribe number 5, cosecant and secant are also cofunctions, and therefore we're just going to add both of these angles up. They're just expressions, set it equal to 90. 7x plus 6 equals 90, minus 6 minus 6. 7x equals 84, divide both sides by 7, and x equals 12. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Good luck to you.